Good morning, Gar! We're talking When the Moon Hatched. Today's deep dive is on chapter 1. If you have not read this book, please swipe away and come back when you have, because I don't want to spoil it for you. I am only talking about chapter 1, but I am bringing in things from the entire book as this is a deep dive. So, if you have not finished it, please swipe away. Come back when you have. Thanks. Let's get down to business. In chapter 1, we open 5,165 phases, or years. Phases are years. After the prologue, with our FMC entering the pub for an open mic night. I mean a gig. The mastermind that Sarah A. Parker is, she has already planted her first little Easter egg for us, and I love it. I am going to be picking up all of these breadcrumbs throughout the book, and I hope I capture them all so that I can piece together this beautiful mural, beautiful masterpiece that When the Moon Hatched is. First little Easter egg is that it's pointed out that Rave is wearing a thin iron band on her middle finger. That's quite literally on the first page of the first chapter. And we learn later, like maybe 1 or 2 chapters later, that this is important because iron actually nullifies the creator's songs. So we learn on the very first page, within the first 2 or 3 sentences, that Rave can hear the elemental songs. Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Rereads are so fun. My personal favorite, the parchment larks. Parchment larks are a small piece of paper with runes on them that essentially give them life when it's folded in a specific way. Simply write your note on the sheet of paper, fold it up so that it looks like a little bird, and send it on its way. Whenever I think of them, I envision the letter or the mail system from the Ministry of Magic. What I think it was Order of the Phoenix. It's when Harry goes with Mr. Weasley to the Ministry of Magic for his trial because of the Dementors, right? And they get into the elevator and Kingsley tells them that they've changed all of the time of the hearing, and they're lucky because it's in 5 minutes. But he says that all of the little airplanes, he says, we're lucky that we've changed because owls used to deliver the system, and what a mess, or something like that. And those are the little airplanes that I envision, except for I don't envision them as airplanes. I envision them as little birds, like origami planes, origami birds, and it's great. I would love to have this as a day-to-day thing. Like, if we had this in the real world, you wouldn't catch me texting. I would specifically be sending out parchment larks. They are stupendous. All right, well, past that. Next up, our lovely bouncer introduces us to this world's social classes. Yay! Seeing as how the bouncer thinks that Rave is a null because she has a cut in her ear, and he treats her like she is less than the dirt beneath his shoes, if you ask me. It's safe to say that the nulls are the bottom of the totem pole. Next step would be the Roonies. That's the next social class that we see. Roonies are actually people, folk, who can't hear the creators, but can use Kalis's runic language to imbue magic into objects. There are also hierarchical rankings within the social classes of the Roonies, and we're going to go over those in just a bit when we meet the Rooney himself. And then last up, we have the elementals, and elementals are fae who can actually hear at least one of the elemental songs. The elementals wear a bead of some sort to indicate which creator they are attuned to. They can hear, or they can invoke, I guess you could say. The red beads being Ignis, the blue beads being Rain, the brown beads being Boulder, and the clear beads being Claude. The different kingdoms place them differently. So within the Fade, which is where we open up, they're all worn as earrings. And I've seen within the Burn, it is, from my understanding, tends to be within the hair. Now the Shade, I would imagine, is probably an earring as well, but I don't actually know. The only indicator of that we get from that is the last chapter when Vea, or second to last, I think it is the last chapter, when Vea is in the castle in Erythia, and she notices while all of the people that she notices are like the maids and the servants, and so they can't hear any elementals. They are nulls. But Tirok is there, and he is actually from the Burn, but he also wears earrings. So I don't know if that is an indicator of the Shade as well and where they wear elemental beads, but take that with a grain of salt. So back to the bouncer. Like the asshole he is, he denies her admittance to the club until she flashes a token for entry telling him that she is the entertainment. In an effort to regain power of the conversation and simply make her feel less than, he tries to get Rave to remove her veil. She is covered on the bottom half, like just, she doesn't have her whole face covered, but she's got it like up over her nose. I think the gods, our girl knows how to stand up for herself, and she knows the rules because she does stand up for herself, and she lets him know that full face veils aren't allowed. However, she only has the bottom half of her face covered, which is where being part of her inner monologue is so much fun. I just eat up her wit, and her inner monologue she's one of my favorite characters to be inside of her head. I love it. She says, I offer a shy, demure nod when all I really want to do is bang his head against the wall. Hard. Same girl. I feel you. The joys of being in another person's head when they are so brutally honest. As she enters the building, Rave has to pass a waif who is essentially trying to sell her it's like the people on the side of the streets, wanna buy a watch? Wanna hear what the souls who have passed have to say to you? She shows us just how mentally stable she is and just how well she deals with her emotions. And then we get to meet our man, the man who holds my heart in the palm of his hand, Con Fagor. His description had me giggling, raising my eyebrows, and doing a little shimmy from the start. And I have never looked back. He passes by. She says, so close I'm struck with a smoky musk, pinched with the smell of freshly split stone, softened with the notes of something buttery. My breath catches, then shudders free, as if unwilling to part with the dense, luscious scent that might just be one of the best smells I've ever inhaled. All right, here are some more breadcrumbs. Let's just pick these up as we go. Starting off with the fact that Con is described as smelling like split stone. Hello, Boulder. Con can speak to Boulder. He does have an affinity for Boulder. So that's impressive. Thank you, Sarah A. Parker, for that. And then the fact that we get our first little glint as to the fact that he is someone who's important to Rave. When she says, my breath catches, then shudders free, as if unwilling to part with the dense, luscious scent that might just be one of the best smells I've ever inhaled. Her body, her soul, knows who he is and knows who he is to her. I'm eating up these breadcrumbs on round 500 of reading this book. Let's try this inner monologue in for size. Sighing, I curl my shoulders forward and step to the side, reminding myself that I'm Kemori Daffodone, traveling bard from Org. I'm trodden, scared, and I'm absolutely not here to accidentally trip this male and watch him tumble down the stairs. Absolutely not. And not only do we get to see her taken aback by her draw to his smell, but we also get to witness his pull to her as well. So this is it's just everything snowballing. When you reread it, you get to watch the whole snowball happen. Here's just the beginnings of the little snowball being packed together. And he literally stops in his tracks when he gets a whiff of her. He is charging down the stairs and he gets stopped and he grunts as though his heart is cracking in his chest. He just found the ghost of his love, that he thought he had lost, that had passed away 123 years ago. He has been piecing together pieces of her moon, not even of her moon, something that was precious to her, not even knowing that it was her at one point, but of her moon for the past 123 years. And then she magically one day just kind of happens in on his life. That would stop me in my tracks. Absolutely. So I love seeing both sides, Rave getting stopped, her body not wanting to leave him, but not really understanding why, and him getting stopped, also not understanding why, but for a completely different reason, because his soul, his body recognizes her and her scent. The prose in this book. I love it. Okay, continuing on. Into the pub, Rave finally sets her eyes on her mark, Tarek Relican. He is a male who needs everyone to know exactly who he is. He stands out in his entirely red garb with his red bead proudly on display. Who do you think he speaks to? Who is constantly greedy for attention? Ignis. I can feel the grease seeping through the pages of this guy. You just know that he's slimy. You know he's scummy. The descriptors, they're just, ugh. You look at this guy once and go, ooh, I don't need to get in your way, and I don't want to be anywhere near you. She made an impression on the man from the stairwell, aka Khan, as he's now back and no longer in a hurry coming down the stairs. I wouldn't be in a hurry either if I had found the reminiscence of someone that I had loved so dearly that had passed. I would be there just like Khan had, whether or not I thought that this was who they were. I would absolutely be there for that reminder of that precious time. 100%. Once again, playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, Sarah A. Parker slips Khan's ability to speak with Ignis in here. It says, his head turns in my direction, gaze sweeping across the upper half of my face like a warm, soft, bristled brush, stiffening the air between us. I mean, it could also be a good descriptor sentence that allows the reader to be placed in Rave's shoes and to feel the whole situation. But it could also be a very glorious little nod to the fact that Khan can also speak with Ignis. Not just Boulder, but Ignis as well. And we get to the Rooney, the one who's a little too big for his britches, if you ask me. There are the different levels I had mentioned before of Roonies, and I want to talk about them the same way that there are different levels of elementals, though the elementals differ in, like, you can hear 1, you can hear 2, you can hear 3, you know. Only one person can hear all 4. We went over this last time, and that is the Nivon line. Thank you. Yes. The Roonies wear buttons that have different runes inscribed upon them, and it isn't just the rune that is on the button that denotes the level of their aptitude, but it is also what the button is made of and just how many that they have on their robes. So the simplest of button being like a wooden one or a bone one, upper level, more complicated buttons being those buttons that are made of silver or gold or diamond. They're also etched with the symbol of what else they can do. In his is a wooden button with a etching stick and carved into it, and it signifies his ability to carve basic runes. He's working at the pub's resident Rooney, which means that we get to see him use his abilities for turning a hollow metal rod into a microphone. This magic system, I love it. Not only here the fact that it's a musical magic system, but also their written magic system for those that can't hear the creators. This whole world is beautiful. I want to dive between these pages. I would love to live here. Can I live here, Sarah Parker? Can you please put me inside of your head so I can live in this world? The moment we've all come for, which is to hear Rave sing. Her fellow musician asks if she knows a song called The Ballad of the Fallen Moon, which is where Rave realizes just how in over her head she is with this particular undercover mission, simply because of how much feeling there is in the song and how much it actually means to Rave. Now, I'd like to pause really quick and note that the name of the song, again, is The Ballad of the Fallen Moon. The title to the second book is The Ballad of Falling Dragons. Do I know what that means? No, but it's very close. They are tied in some way, shape, or form. It's making me wonder if we're not going to have another person hatch from a moon, and the only other person that's ever been scooped up and put inside of a moon before and calcified as a moon is Hadian, her brother. Food for thought. It's because of this song prompt that we get to witness Rave's 100% doctor-recommended way of dealing with trauma. The shove it down and bottle it up method. Please don't do that. That is not healthy. In her mental landscape, there's a lake, and she ties the emotions and the memories, anything that pops up, to this big rock, and she tosses it into this frozen lake and watches it sink and is relieved of all feelings. Yay! Totally healthy. Nothing wrong with that picture whatsoever. That's not gonna come back to haunt you later. You're not gonna blow up like a volcano, it's fine. So while she bottles that up, I wanna touch on the memory that she is tying up in front of us and tossing into that lake. And that is going to be a memory from just after she escapes the Scavenger King. It says, a ghost of something I can scarcely grasp. Its corpse anchored in my icy nether, the place inside me that's vast like the Argor plains I once walked along. Blotches of somebody else's blood frosted to the rags that clung to my skeletal body. This memory I want to talk about just really quick. If we were to look at the map, here's where Slatra fell. Here's the Argor plains. Here's where Rave is now. That's why I would say this happened when she escaped the Scavenger King, right? Because he's in an icy place. And then she walked across the Argor plains. And then she's in Gore. The blood that is on her, the blotches of someone else's blood frosted to the rags that clung to my skeletal body. The skeletal body simply because she just escaped this prison. And the blood from somebody else's blood would, unfortunately, I think, be Fallon's. Also say it's a very distinct possibility that the other took control, and it's the blood of the people she had to kill to escape the Scavenger King. But it could also be both. I want to talk all about the song. I'm going to break it down. It says, close my eyes and plunge into the melody in the same way I once plunged into life, but with the words I've since learned how to speak, armored by the horrors I've encountered since. Flaming horrors, mind-mincing horrors. So these memories are from her time with the Scavenger King, right? That's the first thing that she remembers waking up as a prisoner to the Scavenger King. And then I find it super interesting that she says that it's italicized, mind-mincing horrors. It strikes me as odd because she has healing runes all over her body and especially all over her head. The rune that she sees that Khan brings her to mentions the ones on her head. These runes, I want to know if they're just from healing her or if there's something else to it. If there was something that maybe was taken from her, I don't know. But I don't know where these come from, and I'm a little sus that it's just from being burnt by the Scavenger King. But I could be wrong. I think that he was trying to find the other within her, trying to figure out how they joined. I don't know. We'll see. Diving into the song, first I'm going to just talk about the whole song, and then I'm going to break it down. The saber scythe is coming to the end of its life, sails up into the sky to calcify as a moon, much like its ancestors have done for ages. A moon plume decides to place herself right next to the saber scythe. The saber scythe is black, the moon plume is a bright, silvery, whitish, right? A yin and yang of sorts in the sky. A dragon from the burn and a dragon from the shade, as well as a black saber scythe and a white or very bright moon plume, living side by side in the afterlife that is the sky. The moon plume's glow shines so bright that she illuminates the saber scythe. I would like to focus on the fact that it says she. It is specified that both the moon plume and the saber scythe were female. Little by little, that moon plume gives a bit of her shine to the saber scythe as well, turning the dragon from the burn into a unique white saber scythe. As the saber scythe grows brighter and lighter, the moon plume diminishes until she finally loses hold of her place in the sky, falling to the earth. Soon after, the saber scythe wakes, full of energy and life once more. She searches and searches for her friend, trying to gather all of the pieces and put her back together again. However, she's unsuccessful. The song unfortunately ends here for us, though it is mentioned that she continues singing. We aren't privy to the information of what happens next, but there's a lot to break down about the song, and I'll go into that next. So that's where chapter 1 ends, is with the end of the song. And then her saying that she caught 2 monsters instead of 1. Thinking Khan is another monster, but we all know he's not. I do have another video about going deeper into what I believe the song might mean. And that is on my page just a couple of videos back. I'm going to lightly touch on those things. If you want a deeper dive, please head back to those because I don't want this to be an hour long. I don't have the time to edit an hour-long video. I have 2 very young children. One of my thoughts about the song is that could the song be about Rave? So she's talking in this quote that I'm going to be reading about Levy and the notes that she's playing before Rave joins it on song, right? And it says, she plays the next few with such passion that it's like she's wrote the tune for herself. Like the fable's pretty words were tilled from the ashes of her own caged past. Though I don't know about Levy, nor do I really think it's of much concern whether or not Levy has a caged past. I think this is more hinting at the fact that we know that Rave does also, because own is italicized, Levy's own, we also know that Rave's own past is very caged and dark. Another tie between Rave and this song is how Rave was brought back to life, the exact same way that the Saber Scythe was brought back to life. So Slatra imbued herself into Elwyn, much the same way that the Moonplume imbued herself into the Saber Scythe and then fell, right? The Saber Scythe in both instances fell, and then Rave is what came from Slatra hatching, and then the Saber Scythe is the white Saber Scythe is what came from the other Moonplume falling and imbuing herself into the Saber Scythe. And I think that is a tie. I don't know if that's the exact reason why we are hearing this song, or if there's more to it. So I think that it could be twofold. I think that it definitely for book one could tie into the fact and be a really big breadcrumb as per who Elwyn is and what happened to her. But I could also see this being twofold in the fact that this could be also the song about the great silver Saber Scythe, because silver is not a common color for Saber Scythes to be. And part of me wonders if this is not something that has to do with her. And that's a lot of what the video that I did about this song before talks about. Both the fact that they are both female, the Great Silver Saber Scythe, which is, her name is Ara, a different color. They're both female, just like the one from the song. The Saber Scythe has the Ara, the Great Silver Saber Scythe, has some sort of a prophetic or a mental ability when, like, she visited Khan in a dream and told him if he could succeed in stealing a scale from her, he would be able to handle what was to come for he and Elwyn. And I think that in that way, she connects Khan and Rave, like she connects Khan and Slatra, which inevitably connects Khan and Rave. And that's through this song. I hope that makes sense. There's a better video of it a couple videos back. Diving into a couple of other things that this chapter talked about, the waif. I am super interested in waifs. They are creatures who take bits of your soul in exchange for messages from folk who have something to tell you from beyond the grave. I find it really interesting that the waif says there are screaming spirits desperate to speak with you, and then you can hear everything they have to say. I'm sorry. What? Everything? What is that supposed to mean? Who has things to say to her? Rave mentions that she is sure the spirits are screaming to get through to her, probably don't have anything nice to say. But could it also be her parents? Or Fallon, who are trying to reach her and tell her something important? Could it be her brother up in the sky? Is it even possible that he can reach out because he is up in the sky? I don't know. These are the things I want to know. These are the things I need to know. I like to think, for the sake of theorizing and making things interesting, I like to think that it's her parents or Fallon, but it's very possible that it's the angry people that she has. The next thing I want to talk about is the Bloodstone Mine, and this is how the Bloodstone is the Fade's version of money, though we do also find out that Bloodstone can not only heal, but Sarai Parker did say in an interview that it can also extend one's life. So this Bloodstone mine, where is the mine? How did it come to be? Is it just from dragons that they've had to kill, like the one who went mad that Khan had to kill later in the book because it went mad because of a tick? And it got infected, and its mind got infected, and it needed to be killed because it was going to kill everything else. Is it from like battles way back in the day, and they had armies worth of dragons fighting against each other? How did this come to be? What is it from? I don't know, but I am intrigued. The next thing I want to talk about is several different specialties that we hear about from the Roonies. We hear about the special abilities like blood lacing or healing. Sareem is the first blood lacer that we find. And I do wonder if the twins are actually blood lacers as well, and that's how they are able to be so good at healing. I think that this is something that's confirmed when they are healing Lyri at the end, but I'm not sure. So that's the entirety of Chapter 1 Deep Dive. So I will be going over Chapter 2 hopefully next week. Thank you all for coming. I am thoroughly enjoying this deep dive, and I am hoping that it gets more people talking again because I enjoy this book and I enjoy talking about it. Have a wonderful day. Bye.